Hello friends, family, and internet strangers. Stephanie here with another What's for Dinner video. I know it's been a while since I've had one of these. I'm really far ahead in filming these right now, but I'm also really far behind in editing them. So I thank y'all for your patience and for sticking with me. Let's get right into it. First up is some ravioli with chicken and asparagus. This is not something I had a recipe for. This was very much a winging it kind of thing that I put together as I was cooking. This is also the first meal that I cooked in my new space, in my new apartment. So I had asparagus that I'd gotten at the store, and I like doing asparagus with lemon pepper kind of seasoning. And when I was at Target on this day, when I was getting ready to do some sort of chicken and asparagus dish, I saw that they had lemon and burrata ravioli, and I thought, ooh, that'll be interesting. So the first thing I'm doing is caramelizing up some onions and putting some pepper and garlic salt on those. I diced them up. I diced up about half of the onion to use in this and half to use in a different recipe. There's my asparagus that got a little damaged on the way home. It didn't look like that in the store. If it did, I would not have bought it, but it still tasted fine. So it got a little bruised in my bag, so I cut the tops off, which are normally my favorite part, so I was a little disappointed. But again, this still turned out really well. So I just boiled that very quickly. I just want to soften it up and give it a heads up in the cooking process. I drained it, put new water in the pot so I could use that same pot to make my ravioli. And this is the stuff that I used. It has burrata, ricotta, mozzarella. It's got lemon and herb right in the pasta. I was not sure what to expect with this, but it did turn out really well. I had never had lemon ravioli before. It does cook very quickly, so if you are going to try this, make sure you wait until closer to the end of the cooking process to put your ravioli in the pot. I have moved my sauteed onions to the side, added more butter to the pan, and then some chicken. That is pre-cooked chicken. I like to get that big family pack from Aldi, but I can never eat all of it while it's fresh, so I pre-cook it and then freeze it. I had cooked it fresh this night, though, in the Instant Pot with a few seasonings. I'm adding my asparagus and then some garlic before I stir this all together, and then I am going to add pepper, Italian seasoning, and some garlic salt to this, as well as a little bit of lemon juice, so I can get all of that good flavor in there. This pasta does burst really quickly, so be sure to remove it carefully from the water. I wouldn't even drain it. I would just pull it right out of the water with a slotted spoon like I did here. I'm adding a little bit more butter, the juice of half of a lemon on there, just squeezing a lemon right over the top of it, and then gently tossing it all together. And then when it is all combined, I'm going to add a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. And as I have mentioned a few times already in this video, this was so tasty. I was so happy with how it turned out, especially with those caramelized onions, really well seasoned. Definitely try this one. This next one is going to be really fast. This is a baked potato with quinoa chili on top and some frozen Brussels sprouts. I use my air fryer to do my baked potatoes, so really I guess they're air fried potatoes. I am going to coat it in a little bit of avocado oil because that's what I had on hand, and pour a little bit of garlic salt on it and rub it all in. And as you saw at the beginning, I did poke a bunch of holes in this with the fork so that it cooks very nicely and everything soaks in. I do about 40 minutes to an hour depending on the potato. This one ended up being around 55 minutes after I had checked it out. I pulled this out of the freezer. I made this, I think this was the last thing I made before I started my channel, and I still have some in the freezer, so eventually I will show y'all how I make my chili. In the meantime, I will leave a link down below to the recipe I use because that is a recipe that I use from someone else, and I really don't change too much of it. It's a vegan one. I usually have it when I do a Daniel fast or any sort of diet because it is a very healthy chili. But I'm just serving this with some frozen Brussels sprouts and putting a little bit of Greek yogurt on top, and easy meal. Next up, we've got a Biscuit Chicken Pot Pie here. This one also really simple. I threw this together kind of last minute, so I did miss a step, but it involves mixed vegetables, cream of chicken soup, biscuits, and some chicken. I did use pre-cooked chicken. This is from that same batch that I mentioned in the lemon pepper asparagus dish that I made at the beginning of this video. So it is also seasoned with the same things, which I believe are garlic, salt, pepper, and onion powder. That's usually my go-to with chicken. I'm adding in a can of condensed cream of chicken soup. Here's the step I missed. I realized later when I was like, why isn't this juicy enough? I normally fill the can with about half the can of milk to add a little bit more liquid, and I skipped that step. So if you're going to do this, add a little bit of milk as well. And then I've got a can of mixed veggies, and I'm just going to mix all of this together really well until it's all combined. And then for seasoning, I don't add any salt to this because between the canned mixed vegetables and the condensed cream of chicken soup, it really doesn't need any more salt. But I do like to add a little something extra to it, so I'll use a little bit of thyme and also some parsley. And that's it. Simple as that. I mix this all together again, and then I'm going to add my biscuits on top. I used canned biscuits. I have used this with multiple different types of biscuits. I have found the best ones are the home style kind of biscuits and not these flaky layers ones that I'm using in this particular video. So this is not the best I've ever made this, but I still wanted to show you how easy this is and how adaptable it is depending on what ingredients you have. And these are the ones I had. So once I do this, I want to cover it in foil because I don't want the top to brown before the inside can get too cooked. So this is about 25 minutes later. I do take the foil off at the end. And then I've also got another really easy meal for you, or what was supposed to be an easy meal, and then it took a turn. So this part was really easy. I have seen a bunch of people on YouTube use this Krusteaz honey cornbread, and I had never tried it, so when I saw it in the store, I knew I had to do it. So I am making this exactly as it says how to on the box. Someday I will get creative with it and try adding other things like I've seen so many people do before, but for now, starting out simple and following the box directions. And this cornbread was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed this. So it's easy to mix up. And then I always use butter, like the butter wrapper is the best way to grease a pan. This came out of the pan so easily, and that's what I do for a lot of baked goods. I love to save those butter wrappers and use them as my greasing agent when I'm baking. Now here's where I went awry. I got these potatoes on sale, and I had every intention on throwing them in the air fryer with some salt and pepper and oil and roasting them or air frying them. But this night I really wanted mashed potatoes, and these were the potatoes that I had. So I peeled them. All of those little teeny tiny potatoes. Also, if you don't peel over newspaper or paper towel like you see here, why? It's the easiest cleanup ever. So I put these in my Instant Pot the same way I normally make mashed potatoes. I put some water over the top to make sure they can steam. I use garlic, salt, and I use paprika, and I use a little bit of pepper. And these are really, really simple. I also put a little dash of cayenne on them. I like to season them as they cook, so they just absorb a little bit of that seasoning when they're softening up. Now, softening up is the key word here. These are supposed to soften up in the Instant Pot. I did not cook them long enough. So here's the problem. I forgot to test and make sure they were done, and then I quickly realized, oh, these are not done, but that doesn't stop me. After I add my butter, I still continue to attempt to mash them. And then when that doesn't work, well, I add my whipping cream, and then I decide to pull out the beaters. Yes, I didn't realize it until the next time I went to use these. I broke the beaters with this. Luckily, this is a $12 Home Goods mixer, and it's not that big of a loss. But I continued to try so hard to mash these potatoes that were not cooked. Eventually, I threw them in the microwave to see if I could finish cooking them a little bit in the microwave, and that did help. I was able to mash them a bit, and they still tasted okay. They were just a little chunky. I served them with this pulled pork. This is the Jack Daniel's brand. It was on sale at the grocery store. Threw it in the microwave per the instructions on the package. Look at how gorgeous this came out though. Served it with a little bit of frozen broccoli, and despite the errors with the potatoes, this was a tasty meal. I hope this video gave you some inspiration for your own meals. If it did, leave me a comment down below with which one of these you'd like to try. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any more content. Thanks for watching.